Worlds 2024 main event begins next week. Faker and T1 are reigning world champions, but after barely qualifying by the skin of their teeth, can they defend their title? Before we get into today's video, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Cash App. Cash App makes it easy to send, spend, save, and invest your money. With built-in features like overdraft protection, instant transaction alerts, card lock, high yield savings, and more. And thanks to Cash App, we are able to bring you another exclusive documentary about one of the most exciting pro leagues out there, Valorant Game Changers. Check it out over on our YouTube channel, and for a truly seamless financial experience, check out Cash App using the link in the description. It seems like only yesterday that we saw T1 beat Weibo in the final of Worlds 2023, and Faker finally get to lift the trophy that had evaded him for the previous 7 years. It was the perfect fairy tale, but that's not how you could describe the year they've had since. In February, T1 were caught up in the DDoS attacks that plagued the LCK for most of that month. And arguably, it hit T1 hardest. Their general manager, Becca, shared that T1's headquarters have been periodically DDoS since December last year. The team couldn't scrim, play solo queue, or even stream. T1 finished second in the regular spring season, but got swept 3-0 in round 2 of the playoffs, and Faker reached a breaking point, calling the situation unfair and stating that T1 had not had an equal chance to practice compared to other teams. They did fight their way back to a second place finish, but summer would end up being even more chaotic. T1's inconsistent regular season saw them fail to ever rise above 4th place in the weekly standings. The pressure seemed to reach a boiling point during week 7 versus Gen G, when Faker was seen visibly banging his head against a wall during a team talk. Things went from bad to worse in the playoffs when Hanwha clapped them not once but twice. Suddenly, T1, the reigning world champions, found themselves in the regional finals, and after losing to DK, it was them or KT in a single best of 5 for the final spot at Worlds. And after going up 2-1 in the series, T1 fans could almost taste Worlds, but the scriptwriters decided to keep things interesting by taking it to a game 5. A single game now to decide it all. The game was anyone's to win 24 minutes in, but then Zeus on Yone spotted the perfect time to hit R.
There's the sleep.
The sleep is okay. Alistair's coming off.
Oh my god, Zeus! Catches 3, but immediately followed! And they're just trying to do it. T1, they want to go to Worlds. Will they be able to? All they gotta do is take down the Nexus, and they will get the job done. You will be seeing T1 at Worlds. You will have Faker there.
T1 fans could breathe a sigh of relief, and also Riot's marketing team. This week, they released their Worlds 2024 music video, which heavily featured Faker and T1. Now, I don't know if they had a plan B prepared in case T1 failed to make Worlds, but I guess we'll never know. So, T1 have limped their way into Worlds as the LCK's 4th seed, but considering how bad their form has been over the last month or so, are the reigning champions going to get absolutely battered? Well, perhaps the first thing to take into account is T1's uncanny ability to start actually playing League of Legends properly on an international stage. Let's not forget that during last year's LCK summer season, Faker was out due to a wrist injury, and T1 ended up losing 7 out of 8 of their next matches, and even when he returned, they didn't look great. Now, they did manage to slam the brakes on that death spiral and qualify for Worlds, but some people thought this bad form would carry on into the tournament. But look what happened. They not only adapted to the meta, they single-handedly changed it mid-tournament by picking double range supports and getting Zeus on lethality carries. And for a team that thrives in a shifting meta, things might be looking up.
The meta now is the opposite, I think, for Worlds. It's going to be AD jungle and AP mid. So essentially that means you're going to get Jarvan, Viego, Skarner, maybe Lee Sin, Xin Zhao, Poppy, maybe some Sejuani. And in mid lane, you're going to get Syndra, Orianna, maybe LeBlanc, Hui could be a pick. You could see maybe Azir, I'm not sure. But basically, the meta is swapped around. Ahri, Talia.
Ahri, Talia, Azir, these majors sound like champions a certain mid laner has had some success on in the past. It's fair to say that Faker underperformed during this year's summer season. Now, some might unfairly say it's because this time he's washed. Others might blame it on his ongoing wrist injury. But a quick look at his summer season stats shows just how much he struggled during that ranged AD mid-meta, a 41% win rate on Tristana, and not much better on Corki, you can see how much more success he found on his infamous Azir. So perhaps we've got the ingredients of yet another classic T1 story here. After some huge success, they slowly fall apart, then they struggle to qualify for Worlds, but when everyone has counted them out, the shifting Worlds meta offers an opportunity for them to hit the reset button and adapt faster than other teams can. Now, you could say their ability to do this is down to Faker's experience as the most decorated player of all time, or the youthful adaptability of Zeus, Ona, Gumayusi, and Keria, who have all shown incredible flexibility and deep champion pools at times. Or you can put it down to the coaches. Koma and Tom might not get the same attention as the players, but there's no doubt their drafts and meta reads have helped T1 through some very sticky situations over the past year. Or maybe it's just the power of a good story. Let's not get too sentimental though. As ever, T1 and Faker have a mountain to climb ahead of them. Animal Life have gone from struggling to make LCK finals to winning their first ever this past summer after slapping T1 hard at every given opportunity. And despite Gen G losing to Hanwha in that final, it marked their 6th consecutive final in a row. Their regular season record this year has been 34 wins and 2 losses. And that's just the domestic competition for T1. The LPL's Billy Billy looked incredibly strong this year. They won both their spring and summer and only dropped a single game in the recent playoffs. They managed semi-finals last year at Worlds, so they'll have their eyes on the final at a minimum. As they say, where I come from, the whole thing is shaping up to be an absolute belter. There's a lot of unknown variables at play here, a lot of question marks, anything could happen, and I think that's what T1 and Faker would call their comfort zone. It doesn't look like T1 and Faker could do it, but I can't even count how many times I've stood right here and said that, and then they go on to win the whole thing. It really feels like Worlds is just a different ballgame. Like, the rest of the year can help you figure out who's going to be good at Worlds. There's some teams like T1 where it's not the strongest correlation. Sometimes you just have to wait and see